Although lying on the beach all summer sounds very enticing, it may not be the best alternative for your career growth. Our guest today tells us how we can make the most of our summer months by combining work and play. I'm Grace Trafton of The Better Part. Stay tuned. Dr. Tracey Wilen has been a scholar at Stanford University and has held leadership positions at Apple, HB, Cisco Systems, and the Apollo Group. She is the author of 11 books. The latest, Employed for Life, 21st Century Career Trends, was recently released. Welcome again, Tracey.
Thank you, Grace. Thanks for having me.
Let's begin by talking about volunteer work during the summer. It seems to be a good way to build skills or to explore transitioning to a new career, and also just a great way to give back. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree. On the work side, many companies actually have volunteer programs. So as an employee, you can get involved, get to know your colleagues, get to know your management team. And I think it's now just part of doing good business. But if you're looking for career opportunities, I know many people have used volunteering as a way to liaison between perhaps a company transition and finding a new job. So for example, a gentleman told me he volunteered once a week at a hospital in the department he was hoping to get a job in. And after about 6 months, when the job opened up, he got one. But on the fun side, volunteering, I have to tell you, I was just overseas, met a group of adults who said that every year they get together to volunteer to do architectural digs. And they go all over the world giving back, socializing, and learning something. So I think volunteering can be a great way to enhance your career, but also just to have some good fun and give back.
That certainly sounds like it. You can also have a lot of fun volunteering.
Yes, and a lot of people actually, you know, kids today are encouraged in school to do volunteer projects. It's just a part of what's expected now in leadership. So it can be even helping in schools. My nephew does tech camp volunteering. There's a lot of things out there today, much more than in the past.
Now, with our TV production group, we like to encourage new members to shadow the experienced people in learning the various positions that it takes to do a TV program. Now, is shadowing a particular job something that people can do during their summer vacations? Is that feasible?
Oh, sure, and it can start at a very young age now. I mean, colleges are even embracing in high schools job shadowing. But as an adult, you can even do something called a summer vocation, where you can actually pay, if you're interested in starting a different kind of business, for a vacation to shadow someone. Maybe it's in a winery, maybe it's on a farm, maybe it's in a hotel. But people actually can offer up opportunities to other people to spend a vacation actually job shadowing.
Now, you're saying that people need to pay for this experience?
Well, it's sort of like a destination job adventure. So let's say you wanted to go up to Napa Valley. You have to fly to get there. You do pay because you're going to stay there. And the person is teaching you. So it's almost like you're giving...
But you don't have to pay the winery, for instance.
No, but it's a program. So it's a program where you can actually... It's actually a non-for-profit called Non-Pivot, that non-for-profit organization that organizes these trips for people who really want, as an adult, to think out of the box, reinvent themselves over the summer, but maybe not quit their job just yet and try something. But you could do... I have a friend of mine who actually job shadowed a chef in a restaurant over one summer because he was on the he was really on the fence if he wanted to be a chef or work in a restaurant or keep his day job. Well, after he worked for free and rotated through all the positions, he said, I'm going to keep my day job. It's a lot more stressful than just cooking for fun.
Right, right. So that's a real good way to see what this new career might be.
Sure, I think also as an adult, if you have a skill or experience and you approach a smaller firm that has a lot of need, you could probably work out some sort of exchange where you volunteer in exchange for skill building in an area that maybe you don't know or you like to explore.
Now, what if we're willing to travel for that summer job? What are some of the things that we can do? I would imagine there'd be many things we can do if we're footloose and fancy free.
Well, the nice thing about the summer is a lot of people do travel, and that just in itself creates job opportunities, either overseas at the resorts that they stay at, the destinations they go to, auxiliary support for travel services or firms, but also it creates jobs at home, because when people go away, they need people to take care of their homes, their pets, their plants, and maybe even elder cares. So just the summer vacation itself can create a lot of jobs. Overseas is, there's numbers of jobs listed that you can do, whether it's teaching language, English as a second language, whether it's joining a resort, whether it's going to a ski resort, whether it's going on a cruise liner. There's a lot of opportunities.
So is there quite a demand for English teachers overseas?
And the top 10 jobs for summer, teaching English as a second language always comes up as like number 1 or number 2.
Oh, is that right?
And the reason is especially English is in high demand. Think about European countries, Eastern Europe. Think about Africa. Think about parts of Asia. So it's the business language. It's pretty simple to get qualified. It's the TEFL certification. You can do it in a weekend if you want to do a 20-hour, boot camp. You can do it part-time. You can do it online. And basically they teach you things such as grammar, pronunciation, all of the basics, but also how to teach to children, how to teach to an adult, and how to teach to a business professional. And I have met women. I met 2 young women actually who out of university could not get a job. They decided to teach English as a second language together overseas in a remote location in Asia. They came back and they were picked up by a very large prestigious firm for their leadership program. And the reason is the firm said, you did something different than every other candidate. 1, you did something very independent. 2, you did leadership, and 3, you went global. And these are the characteristics that we want employees to come into our firm and accelerate. And so just by doing that for one summer, these 2 young women have just, created such opportunities for themselves at work.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, it's not necessary to know the language of the country you're going to?
Apparently not. So what I've told for my colleagues who have done this, it's having a grasp of English. Some have said that by default they have had to learn the local language so that you can eat and drink and do different things. But they said that you are with other English speakers. And I think most come back with a very good grasp. So I think it's a two-way street. You get to learn the language locally as well as teaching someone your language.
That's fantastic.
It's very exciting.
Yes, it sounds like it. Now, I took an Alaskan cruise last year, and it seemed like there were lots of seasonal jobs in that state. What do you think about Alaska?
Yes, the first time I heard about seasonal jobs in Alaska, I was living back east, where I'm from, and a colleague of mine had taken an opportunity to work on a fishing boat. And I said, what's all that about? And he said, well, it's very exciting. You spend the summer in Alaska, you get paid, and you go out and you fish. And I said, a few years later, when I was looking for something to do over the summer, I said, I wonder if I could go to Alaska. And of course, my parents weren't too excited about it because they want me to get a paying job in the local area. But I applied to Denali Park.
Oh.
They had a number of jobs, everything from, of course, the hotels, the restaurants, the bars, tourism, hiking guides, you name it, they had a lot of opportunities. I actually ended up getting accepted for a job, but there was a local job that paid more, and so, I figure struggling student. But it's not just that. You can do salmon fishing, forestry. There's a lot of, and of course the cruise liners come in, so all the retail stores. There's a lot of opportunities in Alaska, and it's a beautiful state. So it's just,
it is.
So I think that's especially if you're in California, because it's so much easier to get there.
Right, right. It definitely is a beautiful state. But what kind of qualifications do you need for some of these positions? Like, for instance, if you just enjoy fishing, to be a fishing guide, what qualifications do you need?
So when I applied, here was the recommendation to me, is align your skills and experience with a position. I had always worked every summer in high school as a waitress in diners, local diners, and I babysat a lot. So I applied for anything that required either restaurant or bar or things that involve kids, because I said I have experience in these two areas. The job I eventually got positioned for was bartender, which I thought would have been a lot of fun, quite frankly, because of the tips, and it was, you know, you get to meet a lot of people. And that's what they really advise, is if you have a skill or experience in a certain area, match that, or you've done volunteer work in an area, try to match that and show that you're more viable for that job than maybe the other people applying.
So how about the cruise liners themselves? Do they hire like college students or
Cruise
others?
liners have a lot of opportunities. There are so many openings. I was reading there's about 300 different openings just on the cruise liner itself. So everything from the wait staff, right, to the dancers for the shows, to the restaurant help, to the people who run the stores on board, to the spas. And the recommendation is pretty much the same, is if you can show that you have an affinity or some background in a position on the cruise line that matches something that they have open, you probably have a better shot. They also recommend if you have CPR or life-saving skills, this could give you a bump up. What I like about it is I've actually met adults who actually spend their time on cruise liners giving lectures and seminars. A lot of teachers. So they don't necessarily get paid, but they get room and board, and they get the opportunity to go see different destinations in exchange for hosting a seminar, perhaps teaching someone Mahjong, right? I mean, there's really consumer type of seminars on board the ship, and it's a way that you can enjoy your summer without, you know, and also have a vacation, a working vacation.
That sounds like a fun thing to do for the summer.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, so I've met people who actually are planning to retire fully on a cruise liner.
Wow, that's
because it's efficient. You think about it, you have health on board, food on board, people on board, and you could keep active.
fantastic. Something to think about during our retirement years.
Yes.
Now, let's look at the techies, of whom there are many here in Silicon Valley. So they don't want to get behind on their skills during the summer months. What are some of the things available that's low cost or no cost to keep up to date on all the technical developments?
Sure. So that's me. Every summer I scope out a technology because I am not natural with technology, so I have to continue to work at it. So Apple, free seminars, workshops, stores. Microsoft, I get one-on-one tutoring. You can go once a week. It's about $1 for a class.
Really?
Yeah, you can learn anything that they have in the store. I went down to learn first PowerPoint. Then I went back to learn about video editing for some of my presentations. I'd like to do video creation. I think that's the next thing on my bucket list for technology. I have friends who do a lot of the technology meetups in the local area. You can always go online and try. I tried the Code Academy. I failed, but that's okay. I realize I'm not a coder. But now there's the App Academy, so you can go out and learn how to make an application. And there's adult ed. There's adult ed in community colleges. And I have colleagues who have actually done social media boot camps to really help their businesses. A lot of my women colleagues actually have businesses, and social media is a way that you market or communicate. And they wanted to get fast track on that, and they went to a social media boot camp over the summer.
Oh, now how long are these courses?
They're all different ranges, right? You can do the weekend boot camp, or you can do 6-week courses, or if you go to Stanford, they have summer programs. Adult ed have short courses, and community colleges might do a whole semester. So it's really up to you, and don't forget there's always online. You can find anything online on YouTube and do a tutorial.
Now tell us more about MOOCs. I've been hearing about that lately.
MOOCs, massive online courses. In the local area, you might have heard of Udacity, Coursera, edX. These are university programs, it really started years ago of how can we get education out to the masses at a very low cost, because it is very expensive to have college degrees. And so these MOOCs really offer on a massive level online university and college courses. A lot of it are through collaborations with MIT and Stanford, or it might be courses very specific, like in Udacity, it might be engineering courses or technology courses. I, as a participant, can take it for free. I don't get credit unless maybe I'm aligned with a college who is agreed to credit, but it gives me an opportunity to learn something and take a college class.
So, how about the jobs that are online? I imagine there's lots of possibilities there.
There are. So if you're homebound or you can't go away over the summer, think about your skills. But you know, if you're a teacher, you can tutor, do exam tutoring. If you're a blogger, you can blog and do social media. If you don't have, you might want to check with the airlines. They have a lot of home-based people who do call centers and online chat, retail, travel, flowers. I mean, you name it, everything now is online, and a lot of it can either be done from home or through call centers or different locations. So I think online is a booming area for jobs.
So people who are homebound would be looking into these types of jobs.
Or if you just don't want to commute anymore.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of opportunities.
And opportunities for part-time work.
Part-time work, and a lot of this is posted on freelance.com, hourly.com, all of the job boards like Monster Board, Career Board, Snag Job, all of these different job boards have part-time opportunities. And then there are job boards just dedicated like hourly.com. You just want to work for a couple of hours a day.
So are these job boards both for adults and also for college students?
So college students increasingly have their own specialized job boards. So I would always encourage the college student to ask the university or their career center, what are the hottest job boards, or look for it online, because there are groups now that specialize in hosting jobs just for college students, internships, and job shadowing. So that's very focused. And I think that also they should talk to their colleges about job placements, because a lot of colleges have alliances with different companies. They have job fairs as well. But you know, the job boards, let's face it, LinkedIn now has a university job board edition, right? Because they're also saying, well, we can participate in the job market for students as well, because students will move into jobs and then they'll become managers and then they'll have their own jobs. So there's a lot of listings out there available for students.
Oh, that's good. It seems like there's a lot more these days than in decades past.
Well, technology has created so much opportunity. You know, you think about it not only on the jobs that we can have locally and abroad, but then also the way that we find jobs and how we can do it is, you know, expanded dramatically than just having to know someone that you could hand your resume to.
So for adults, are there specialized job placement resources, like for teachers who
Yes.
want to teach abroad or do other things during the summer?
Yeah, so as an adult, if you are in an industry, I would recommend going to your professional association. Either you're with the the AAUW, for example, for teachers. Professional associations can aggregate jobs, information, networking events, overseas even travel for people in the same organization. So teachers can travel with teachers, and you can do educational trips, and then you can find jobs that way as well. So I think that's an easy route. But also look in your local area. So let's say I'm an adult and I want to work this summer. Well, there's a group called M Square up in San Francisco, or SAGE, where you can actually find more senior level work on a part-time basis or a contract basis.
Now, what kind of senior level?
So maybe you're a marketing expert. So you put in all of your credentials, your resume pretty much, and say that, you know, you check off if you're looking for full-time, you're looking for part-time, you're looking for hourly work, so that they try to match more skilled adults with demand, you know, openings that are on demand. Of course, technology is always in demand. But project managers, you know, there's different kinds of roles. So it is an entry-level opportunity. It's someone who's like mid-career.
And so they're temporary and part-time.
Yes, and actually there's even job sites out there. There's sites for everything now. For flex execs, so flexible working for executives who might be in the middle of a transition or wanting only to work part-time. And there are things for moms. It's like 10 to 2, right? So when mom has a break and she wants to work from 10 to 2, there are job sites that just cater to mothers or professional mothers who are maybe raising children. So if you look, I think the more you target where you look and what you're looking for, the more you can hone in on the job board or the service that can get you closer to what you want to do.
And are most of these services free?
Yes, yes. So I think when you're working with an outplacement type of organization like SAGE or M Squared, it's probably built into their cost to the client, so their markup for matching you to. But job boards are free.
And tell us some tips for a good resume.
You know, resumes have changed, and I think it's really important for people to understand how they've changed. In the past, we used to state an objective of what we wanted to do and tasks. This is what I did. You know, I know how to write a letter, or I know Excel, or I know that. That is the resume of the past. The resume of today is all about, that resume is your PR, your press piece. It's your ad for yourself, which means in one page, I have to give you a lot of results and a lot of excitement on why you want to hire me because of the possibilities and the results that I can bring to your organization. So instead of an objective, it's really a summary, the sizzle headline of what I am. You know, I am a project manager who can manage large-scale, million-dollar projects, you know, over in a quick time and bring results, and here's how. And giving examples of how either you've increased profits or decreased costs or created efficiencies.
So what you can contribute to the company.
Day one. Companies want to know when you walk in the first day in my company or my organization that you can produce results, and you're highly productive on that day, and how are you going to be productive?
So these candidates who say, well, I need this job because, that's not a good approach, is it?
No. In fact, I encourage people when they interview that they should have a long list of questions, intelligent questions, meaning go out to that company or organization's website and know everything on it. Know the organization, know the people, watch those videos, see what the culture of the firm is. Even places like Google actually have videos explaining the interview process, what it's like to work there, what they expect of you. You should not walk into an interview cold. Once you have all that, have a list of intelligent questions and make sure that you practice a lot of questions yourself. You can go out on a website and see hundreds of job questions that companies will ask, even down to the specific company. Knowing what IBM is going to ask you, or Apple, or a Facebook, or a small firm, right? You know, what they're going to ask you, and have prepared soundbite results in tangible metrics. You know, yes, I increased sales by this amount, and here's how I did it. I decreased costs by this amount, and here's how I did it. So interviews are very two-way exchanges, and both the interviewer and the interviewee can benefit from it.
Now, how soon should we be applying for a summer, either a job or volunteer work or shadowing? How soon do we have to get started?
You know, when I was growing up, people would start at least 6 to 8 months, and I hear about students starting, like, for example, in their junior year, they're positioning for their senior year. So my recommendation is it's never too early to start. It could be too late to start. So don't wait until May or June, because there'll be, you know, the early bird gets the worm. There are going to be people out there who have already positioned themselves and have secured internships and job shadowing. So I would lay the seeds. Now, if you are in an internship or job shadowing for one summer and you want to do that again, let that employer know that you want to come back, because that's, you know, half the battle is
Right.
getting it. Now keep it there and say, I'd like to come back next year, but I'd like to do more. You know, are there other places in your firm that I could rotate to, because I could see this as a potential career opportunity.
So how about for the adults who are looking for temporary summer work?
So for the adult finding temporary summer work, you know, I met a lot of skilled adults who are out of work. I'll give you 3 examples. One is I met a nurse. It's very interesting because nurses are always in shortages. But what nurses will tell you is that the shortage may not be where you live. So you may be a specialist in one area, but there's a lot of people in the same area. So there's a concept called traveling nurses. They actually don't travel. It's firms who will place skilled nurses in locations around the U.S. that have shortages in your skill set. And actually there's a lot of demand. So if you're interested in keeping up your skills in nursing and maybe even exploring living in maybe in the Midwest or maybe in the South, I would look at something like traveling nurse. If you're a teacher, you know, the summer can be your oyster for finding different opportunities, either here or abroad. I met adults who have decided to be truck driver for the summer. There's high demand. You do need a special license. I've met others who have done Uber and Lyft, just as a transition. They also use it as networking. They're always talking to, you know, especially in Silicon Valley, a lot of people use Uber and Lyft. The last area was in oil. Now, oil is in transition right now because the rates are down, but I have met people when the supply in one area is high and the demand in their area is low, they have actually gone in on oil rigs, excursions. There's always a demand somewhere, whether it's Alaska.
Doesn't that take specialized skills?
Specialized skills. So these are adults who have skills in certain areas. So I would look and say, what are my skill sets? What do I have? There are volunteer organizations like SCORE, where past executives can volunteer their time for companies. As I mentioned, there's always demand in healthcare and schools. Non-for-profit. I met a gentleman who was in transition as a vice president. He immediately volunteered for his alma mater on a school board to keep active, and I think he volunteered to be treasurer, so he would keep up his financial background. So there's a lot of opportunities out there.
That is wonderful to hear. And thank you again, Tracey, for all this valuable information.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in today. Please remember to watch our programs on YouTube and Roku. See you again next week on The Better Part. Bye-bye.